This is a really cool card, and what we're going to do, this has a slight of a fancy fold kind of card, as you see as we lift this up. What we're going to do is we do need to bring in some extra cardstock for that. So I'm using Old Olive on that. So for the card base on the back, you can see that. We do need this Old Olive card base, which we are going to be cutting. And we're going to be cutting and reserving some of that. Some of the elements that you can see on the inside is the one. It has this card front. It was the back side of one side. And we're going to be using that because I want to use that angled portion. We want some of the little ephemera packs for the leaves on that. There we go. We need the sentiment. I'm going to toss in a couple of tags. 1, 2. And from another card, we had cut this portion off, and we need to reserve that. And the final piece that we need is the Hollyhocks, and I'm using the one with the 3 on it. So what we want to do is we do need to do some cutting first, so let's place these aside. Okay, place that up there. And let's get our trimmer going. What we need to do is first create our card base. Now the card base is 5.5 by 4 1/4. Okay, so we only need that little portion right there. So that's going to create our card base. For our card front, what we want to do is we're going to cut this actually right in half, and we're going to cut it roughly about 3 inches. Okay, so I got it. This portion is the one we're going to use. Let's set that aside with our card base. You'll notice that I have a little bit left over, and what I want to do is actually, this is the one we're going to use on the card base. So we have this one for the card base, and this one is going to be for the front flap. What we want to do is actually cut this in half right there. Cut it right in half there. So we're just going to cut it. There's the score line. I'm just going to bring it down from the score line, and I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to make it at 4 inches. Okay. Place that off to the side. So we have this one. There we go. Let's take a look at the pieces that we have cut. So we have our card base. This card will be landscape. Okay. Oh, we forgot to cut one more piece. We want to cut this so that it is smaller, but with a nice frame around. We're going to cut this down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I'm going to reserve as much as I can of this portion, cutting that to 4 inches. And I'm going to be cutting the white portion off, 5 1/4. Now we can get rid of the trimmer. We lay this on top. We can see it's got a really nice frame around it. What I want to do now is just to double check to make sure that this piece that we're going to use as the flap fits on there. Okay, so it might be a little long. We could leave it long if we want, or if not, you can always cut it shorter. Okay, so I'm going to lay that on top. Right now it stands from the top to the bottom, and if I lift it, it will be like that. I don't want that. I want to cut it off, so this height will be 4 inches. I wanted to at least give you the option if you wanted to do it completely top to bottom, or if you wanted it flush with the edge. Again, if I bring in the piece, I lay it on top so that it is behind there, and it is quite flush with all of the edges. And I really like that, so I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to just kind of add a little bit of tape. I want to just to secure it down. Just so it doesn't go anywhere, I'm going to add a little piece, some glue underneath. Now I just use the tape just to hold it in place while I do this part. There we go. And that will hold that down. We're going to glue this down to the card, and that will be glued onto the card base itself. So if I flip it over, again, nice frame around the edges. There we go, looking good. I like that. I think that looks really, really nice. So that creates that little flat part like that. I do have this, and I can leave it because this is going to tuck behind, and I want some white around the edge like that. All I need to do is I need to glue these two pieces together. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to lay this on here. I want to make sure that it's nice and even all the way around. I'm going to leave it right there, and I can eyeball it. So if I go from here, I'm going to go down, I know that it's going to hit right here for gluing. I'm not going to be too much because I don't want to be it coming out the edge on that side. So a couple of strips, leave it in place there, and all I have to do is hold this and close the flap. Okay, give it a minute to adhere, and then we can continue on. So I have that all basically set up. So there we go. Look at that. That's a flap. Pretty easy. And the glue will hold. What I'm going to do is bring in my elements that I had set aside. I have a bit of an edge on here, and I'm going to cut that off because I can see a little bit of flowers, and I don't want to see that. All I'm going to do is bring in the trimmer, line it up, and just kind of go on the line so it's even. I just want to create an angle cut. It's just more for a design element that I'm going to be bringing in. So I'm going to lay that down, and I can either leave it either higher or lower. I kind of like it higher so it has a little bit of the green on the bottom. I'm going to bring in my other elements, which are these little guys here, one, and I'm going to overlap them so they can kind of flow over the card itself all together. Again, I have some of the elements of the tag. So if I put the tag on, again, I'm layering it so that you can see the edges. I can add a little bit more if I want. Maybe I can add this under here. It is totally up to you if you want to. I just thought I added this little one. Maybe I needed it, maybe I don't. I'm not sure. And then I'm going to flush up the edge of the sentiment with those tags. And I don't think I need this one here, so I think I'm going to take it out and lay it down. So that kind of all tucks in behind. I just need to make sure that it doesn't peek out from the sentiment. This is looking good. I want my sentiment and everything like that. And the last piece is this flower, but if I put it right here, it kind of overlaps on the words. So I need to know that I got to kind of tuck this out a little bit further. I might have it even on top of the flowers. I can pull this tag out a little further and move it around. So just see how it goes for you. I kind of like that. Now I can't see that one behind there, so I'm going to kind of move it a little bit further out. I'm actually going to do this. So I know for sure this angle piece is going to stay. So I'm going to glue that down so it doesn't move. Again, just be careful on where you glue. You don't want to glue the card open. So for sure, I know that this is going to stay right here. Clearing that. Okay, there we go. I'm going to bring it back a little bit. I'm bringing it just a little bit because I want the flowers to kind of span over that. I know for sure that that's where I want that. These guys, I think I want to have kind of peeking out. But how am I going to do that just to make sure that the flowers and everything are right? Again, relayer these guys up. And I think I'm going to tuck one behind this label here. I can see, bring it down a little bit. Perfect. He needs to go right there. take your time and move your elements around. I'm going to tuck him down. There we go. I know for sure he needs to go there. Again, I'm going to put these back on. Okay, it clears it. It hides that little bit. Don't be afraid to cut these guys in half. Okay, and place it behind. Okay. A lot of that element is hidden behind the hollyhock, so remember I said about cutting? Let's cut this guy apart. Okay. I know I want him right there, and that's going to cover the hollyhock with the hollyhock. So if I place it like that, I can tuck him a little higher up. My hollyhock is going to go there. It's all about moving your elements around. Okay, I'm going to just tape him down. I just find it just is a little easier doing that. Again, lay him down. I can probably stick another piece right off that side there, and I can tuck that right behind the hollyhock again. So I'm going to glue this, add some tape. I can lift him up and kind of pop him in like that. So there we go. So that works really well. I know that this label is going to sit right there, so let's glue him down. Take your time while you're doing this step, these steps. Don't rush it and just take your time. I want you to be happy with what you're creating. Again, we're going to bring our hollyhocks back in, and personally I think he needs to go on dimensionals, and now we can put our little hollyhocks on dimensionals. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on that spot that overlays that. Oops, oh, they went flying. On that little sprig. Okay, and I'm going to lay it down. I need to make sure it clears the top of that card. You can always cut this off if you want, but I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to cut from the bottom. I'm going to cut the stems, and I'm going to cut them at different heights. There we go, just so that they clear. Looking great. I am loving this. Our final piece, other than the embellishments, is to add our sentiment. Okay, I'm going to place that on top, and I want to kind of offset it from the other pieces. I'm going to add some embellishments. And there we go. Look at that. That is so cool. Don't forget to add your Wink of Stella. There we go. And I'm going to show you the card. There we go. Let's bring those cards back in. And there, oh, without the dimensional. There we go. There's the two cards. So I add a little bit more pretty peacock on this one. This one had some of the green in there, but I think it got lost. I really like how the pretty peacock stands out. Again, move your flowers around. This one has 2, this one has 3. Kind of move your labels around to see what comes out on what is your favorite.